Welcome back to Morning Sun Homestead. If you're new here, welcome to our channel. We hope you like our content. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for watching again. Today we are going to teach you 5 essentials that need to be in your kitchen to help your family eat healthy and to have healthy gut health. As we know that gut health is linked to all the rest of our body health. It is so important. So we're going to start out with essentials that need to be in your kitchen that is easy to make, and it's inexpensive as well. So not only is this going to help your family have excellent health, build their immune system so you're going to have less colds and flus and snuffles, but also it's going to save you a ton of money. Now, when I was growing up, I always heard the proverb of health and wealth. I didn't understand it at that time, but as I've gotten older, I do understand that now. If we have good health and if we eat to be healthy, then we are going to have wealth, because all it takes is one visit to a doctor's office and we can see our wealth slowly trickle away as all the medicines and all the doctor visits and the trips of getting there, how expensive that gets for us. So if we're able to start our children at a younger age, or even if they're teens or even early 20s, and we're able to help them understand the importance of good food, which equals good health, then we are going to leave them with something that will always help them throughout the rest of their life. With the 5 essentials that need to be in your kitchen that we're going to show you, this is going to help build a solid foundation for good health for the rest of your life. Join me in the kitchen as we get started. Our first kitchen essential that we're going to make in our kitchen, of course, is going to be sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is so healthy for the gut, which in turn makes you have a strong immune system, which will help you from not getting sick. You might think of sauerkraut as not a kitchen essential, but when you look into the health benefits, you're going to find out that it definitely is, and it's so much better when you make it at home and you know exactly what is in there and how it's been prepared. When you get a head of cabbage, which is relatively inexpensive, we need to peel off the outer leaves. And you want to make sure that you cut the core out of your head. So I'm going to get rid of these, and then I'm going to wash this real good, and we'll cut it up. You can use a knife just to slice this up. We don't need to get anything fancy. You can also use a grater if that's what you want to use, if you want smaller. For our kraut, we like it a little bit bigger, and I was just cutting the core out of that, so because that's hard, and it's hard to do anything with. It's also hard to chew on. And we just cut it up into thin slices. We're going to weigh this out. We need to have 5 pounds of cabbage. If you don't have that, then you just need to tweak your recipe as to what you have, because for every 5 pounds of cabbage, we need 3 tablespoons of salt. And you're going to mix that, and also use a wooden spoon to kind of bruise the cabbage as we punch it down. We're going to use, this is some that we had previously, our kraut. We're going to use a ½ gallon glass jar, because then we can put this lid on top of it. It smells heavenly too. We can put that on top, and that will help keep everything submerged into the brine. We're just going to keep chopping up here. So this is the sauerkraut that we had made originally for this video, and this portion of the video got mixed up and messed up. So we're trying to go through and just show you the basic steps. What you would do is, once you have your cabbage chopped up and you have your 5 pounds or whatever, however much amount you're going to do, then you do 3 tablespoons of salt to 5 pounds, and I'll put that in the description below. Then you would put it in your jar, and you're going to bruise that with a wooden spoon, and that will make some brine come up. If you don't have enough brine, you need to make some brine with water. Now, what you need to do it right is to heat your water on the stove, and also put that amount down there and let it cool, and then add your salt, not before it's completely cold, but while it's still warm, add your salt and stir it up. I usually just take tap water and add my salt to it because I just don't have time to go through all that and let it all cool. So I usually use tap water that's warm, stir the salt in, and then I just pour it on top. Then once you have your brine up, you're going to submerge it with this little handy dandy thing. If you don't have the jar, the topper that will go on top of the jar, you can also use a bag full of gravel or stone, something that's clean. Make sure you wash them first. Put them in your baggie, and then you can just put them on top and submerge. There's no use to buy expensive stuff if you don't need it, when we can make do with other. And then it will need to set on your cabinet in a warm place to ferment. This only took 2 days, and you can see the difference in the color of the cabbage. And also, the liquid is kind of thick. It's not really that thin. But that's how we did that. So that's our first kitchen essential, and sauerkraut is so healthy for you that it really should be in every American's kitchen in order to help build our health. And that leads us to number 2. Today we're going to teach you how to make something that can be in everybody's kitchen. You're going to save a ton of money when you do it this way, and you're going to be able to know what's in your yogurt. We are going to make yogurt today. Yogurt is very simple. I know there's lots of complicated recipes out there that make you scared to even make it, but this is our second kitchen essential that we feel needs to be in every American's home. Yogurt provides us with great probiotics in our stomach, and therefore that helps us have good health, which in turn keeps us wealthy by not going to the doctor. The first thing that we need, of course, is a gallon of milk. So you can purchase a gallon of milk I don't know. I don't purchase milk, but I'm assuming probably $4 to $5. And then we're also going to need some yogurt. So if you've never done yogurt before, you can get yogurt from the store. This is yogurt from our last batch. So I always save this much out, and then that's what I can use to start my next batch. It's my starter. But if you get yogurt from the store, I prefer the Greek yogurt because it has all the probiotics in it that we need, because it has all the active cultures. You can look on the back of the yogurt container that you pick up. You want to make sure that it says active cultures. A yogurt without the active cultures will not perform the way we're supposed to have it. It will not gel together, and it will not be yogurt. So that's the main thing. You need to make sure that the yogurt you get from the store has active cultures, and it will list it on the back of the container. So we need a large pan, and we need a gallon of milk. We're going to put this into our pan. Then we're going to put it on the stove on medium heat, and we're going to heat it to 190 degrees. So we need a thermometer, which is very common in most kitchens. Throughout the time, we will want to stir this just a little bit so it doesn't stick. We don't want it to scorch to the bottom. So once we're at the 190 mark, that's what we're looking for. We want to heat our milk to 180 degrees. We have 181.9. And then we need to cool it quickly. The way that we're going to cool it quickly is by putting it in a sink of cold water. This will help cool it very quickly as the water goes up and gets into the pan. You can also help it cool even quicker by stirring it. We want to cool it to 110 degrees. Our temperature of our yogurt has dropped to 110 degrees. So at this point, we are going to add our starter. I'm going to go ahead and put this in. And with this, if we want a creamier, thicker yogurt, we also, at this point, need to add some powdered milk. So I have about half a cup here, and I've poured some of the milk out of the yogurt. I'm just going to pour these together, and then I'm going to beat it up. And we're going to pour this. This is not required. This is only if you want a thicker yogurt like Greek yogurt. That's what this is going to make. Pour all that in, and then we are going to stir this very well because we want to make sure that we get all of our starter mixed in throughout the whole pan, not just in clumps. There's 1,000 different ways to inoculate your yogurt. The easiest that I have found, I also have a video of how you can do it in a slow cooker. That's very simple. But another easy way that I have found that's honestly easier and something that everybody can do with no expensive equipment required. We're going to wrap this up in towels, And then we are going to put this in a cooler. You can do this in the summer or the winter, and you need to work kind of fast. Once it comes off, we need to kind of move because we don't want to lose our temperature. We want to try to keep that temperature. Within that cooler, we're also going to put a blanket, which will wrap around this as well. Put the blanket in, we'll put our pot in, wrap it all up. And to this, we're also, that we took our milk out of, we're going to fill that full of warm water, hot water, and we're going to slide that in there as well. Then we're going to put the lid down. This can go in a cooler spot if you need it to. It does not have to go by a wood stove or anywhere that it's warm. As I said before, you can do this in the winter or the summer this way. So in the morning, we're going to show you our awesome yogurt that you're definitely going to make for yourself. It has been 11 hours since we put our yogurt into the cooler. Let's cut this so you can see. Look how thick that is. Nice and thick. Just like Greek yogurt. I'm going to store this in quart jars. I'll probably get 3.5, almost 4. I'm also going to keep some for my starter. You see this yellow coming up? That's just the wee from the milk. That's not going to hurt you. All you have to do is just stir that into your yogurt and it's fine. And that's going to put us to our third kitchen essential that you need for your family's health and to save you money, which is making bread. Bread is an important, substantial for life. Everybody eats bread. But the grocery store bread is loaded with preserves, it's loaded with all kinds of chemicals, it has been sprayed with pesticides and herbicides. So it's very good if we can make it in our own kitchen. This is our third thing to be able to give your family good health and save you money. A loaf of bread in the store, I'm not even sure how much it is. It's been so long since we've bought one. But you can make your own sandwich bread at home since that's the most common thing that's used. What recipe I'm about to show you is exactly what this is for, and it's something that you're going to be able to send to work as work lunches, or you can send it to your children if they go to public school, or if they go to a babysitter, or if they're at home during homeschooling. It's nice to be able to slice that up and just have sandwiches for a quick meal. So let's get started. First thing we're going to need is 2 cups of warm water. I test this on my wrist to see if it's warm enough. Also, the temperature would need to be 110 to 115 degrees. So you can do it either way. What we're going to add to that is going to be 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. And I use Red Star yeast. I'm going to put this in here and give it a little bit of a stir to have it dissolve. I'm just going to shake my bowl. That way I don't get it all over my spoon. And this is what it's going to look like in the water. To that, I'm going to add my salt, which is 1.5 teaspoons. This all comes together rather quickly, doesn't take very long. They call for 2/3 cup of sugar. I'm using raw sugar. I'm only going to use 1/2 cup. I try to keep as much sugar down in our systems as possible. But if we don't add sugar to this recipe, it does get a little bland. I have tried it without, and it is a little bland. So I just cut the sugar back to 1/2 cup. And as I said before, I'm using raw sugar. That's why it's brown. Now we're going to stir all this up. The warm water and the sugar is what's going to make everything start fermenting for the yeast. I have ground fresh flour. Not everybody can do that. So luckily that flour is reasonably available at all stores. You can get all-purpose, you can get wheat, you can do a mixture, whatever you want to. It calls for 6 cups of flour. In this I have spelt and incorn and also wheat. I'm going to end up bringing in some all-purpose flour as well because I just don't have enough ground. But I am going to add that to my mixture. I try to add 3 cups and then mix. Also to this, I'm going to add some seeds. I like to do that. That helps bring in more nutrition than what it would be if it was just regular bread. So here I have some chia seed. I'm only going to use half of that because I'm doing a double batch. Now what I'm showing you will make 2 loaves, 2 bread loaves. They are kind of small, but if you put them together, it's 1 whole loaf. So therefore you have your whole loaf of bread. In here I also have pumpkin seeds and I have flax seeds. I ground them up in the grinder just because sometimes the seeds hurt people's teeth. And also our pumpkin seeds are readily available. If you buy a pumpkin in the fall, you just need to take your seeds and roast them, and we have a video on how to do that. So this has 3 cups of flour. You can see it's already starting to come up and raise. We need to add 1/4 cup of oil. I'm going to add butter. That's what I have readily available to me, but you can use whatever you want to. You can use olive oil. You can use coconut oil, just something healthy. Lard, you could use lard if you want to. Talon will give it a little bit of a taste. I've tried that before. It does give it just a little bit of a taste, but if you have a real good high quality talon, it probably wouldn't. Lard works really well. So once we have that in, then we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more flour. As I said before, it's 6 cups. I'm trying to do this equally between the two, so I'm going to add a cup to each one and try to keep it even. Let's put all that in there. And then I'll end up adding some all-purpose flour. I ended up adding 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, and now I'm going to mix it with my hand so I can get everything intertwined. Then we're going to let this raise for a couple hours, depending on how warm your kitchen is. After it has risen, I will show you exactly what that looks like. Then we're going to roll it out and put it into our bread pans. This needs kneaded for about 10 minutes. Bread dough loves to be handled. It helps break up the gluten and disperse it throughout the whole loaf. Once we get it kneaded well and it's not sticky, we're going to put it in our pan. You can grease that if you want to. A lot of people do. I never have. And then you can put a towel across it. A lot of people will wet in their towel with warm water. I don't. I just throw it across. Just make sure you keep it out of draft so it can raise. It's been approximately 3 hours since we've stirred up our dough. You can see how nice it has risen. We're going to go ahead and knock this down and get it loose from our bowl. I'm going to knead it just a bit here. You can lightly sprinkle flour on your rolling surface if you want to, but it's not required because you can see it's not a bit sticky. It's not sticking to me at all. I'm going to cut this dough in 2. And I like to roll my dough because if I roll the sandwich bread, it is going to take out air bubbles that would be in there otherwise, and nobody wants a sandwich with air bubbles in their bread. So when we roll it, we get the air bubbles out. And then I just roll my loaf up. I tuck in my sides. And I have already greased my pan. Now I generously grease my pan because I do not want this to stick. If we're not careful, the bottoms will peel off and be stuck on the pan, and our loaf will be without a bottom. So we make sure that we grease that very good. I have used talon. You can use lard, you can use butter. Butter doesn't work as well as lard or talon. You can also use olive oil. It works well. And then I just put my loaf in here, and I'll put it to the side and let it raise again, and then we'll continue to bake. Our bread is ready to go in the oven. Look how gorgeous this has rose. The black spots are the seeds. That is the chia seed. And then of course the flax. I do see a little bit of a pumpkin there that didn't get ground up. But overall it looks really nice. We need to set our oven at 350 degrees. For this sandwich bread, it needs a little bit of steam. So what I do is just put a pan in the oven with water in it. And that works perfectly fine. I'll put that on the bottom rack. And I have to pull out a rack here. Now this will bake for approximately 30 minutes, and then we'll be able to take it out and butter the tops. It has been approximately 35 minutes, so now we're going to take our bread out of the oven. As you can see, it looks really nice. Now, if you use all-purpose flour, it's going to be white. It's not going to have the brown on top. It will be brown from cooking, but it won't be brown from the flour that was used. Once we get them out, we need to butter the tops of the loaves. This helps keep the crust where it's not so hard. So I just have a piece that I have, we make homemade butter, so I just have a piece that I cut off a chunk and I just smooth it across the top. Bread is a staple that everybody uses and it's very easy to make. I've had failures, but then you have successes, and after a while you're going to learn exactly how to do it, and you're going to be able to save your family a ton of money. Plus, you're going to know exactly what all the ingredients is in your bread. With this recipe, it can be tweaked to whatever you want to do. You don't have to put seeds in it. You can put other seeds in it. You can use milk instead of water. You can use either lard or butter as your margarine that needs to be used, or your oil. So it's very versatile, and you can do it however you need to do it. So there we have our 4 loaves of bread. They look very nice. I'll let them cool completely before I pop them up out of the pans. The bread has cooled, so now it's easy to get out of the pans. And this brings us up to our 4th kitchen essential that you need for your health and to save your family money. We are getting ready to make our 4th kitchen food essential for your health and to save you money. One thing that you're definitely going to be able to make after this is mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is a very simple thing to make in your own kitchen, and it's going to save you a ton of money. Not only that, when you do that, you're also in control of what ingredients you're able to put into your mayonnaise. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to need is 1 egg, and we are going to crack that into our blender. And don't get rid of the eggshell. There's lots of nutrients in there. You want to make sure you see our video on our channel about what to do with those. And we're going to pulse this for about 20 seconds. While this was working, after the eggs had beat for about 15 to 20 seconds, I then also had to add salt, some white wine vinegar, apple cider, or you can use lemon juice, some mustard, and I add a little bit of sugar to ours, but when you do it at home, you can do whatever. You can add some hot sauce to give it spice. You can add pepper. It's up to you. But I wanted to turn this off because it's really noisy. At this point, we're going to start adding our oil. We need a cup of oil. What I do is start with 1/4 of a cup, and I put it in little drops at a time. I just can't talk as I'm doing this, so you're going to hear a lot of noise, but you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. Once the 1/4 of a cup is done, then I will start on the other cup. Well, the whole cup, but the 4th came out of the whole cup. I'm just going to add a few drops at a time to try to get this to start combining. After a few seconds, you're going to have your mayonnaise. Ours is a yellow tint because we use the egg yolk and also the mustard. As you can see, it's fairly thick. It's not very thin. We have a fairly good consistency. And it's simple as that to make your own mayonnaise at home. We are going to teach you to make the 5th essential kitchen food for your health and to save you money. Today we're going to teach you how to make tortillas. Tortillas is not difficult to make, and these are the best homemade tortilla recipe that's out there. It's very simple, and with these tortillas, they can be froze as long as you put wax paper or parchment paper between them. They can be popped in the freezer. If you have a microwave, you just put a wet paper towel over them and heat them for 10 to 20 seconds. If you don't have a microwave, you can throw a little bit of grease in the pan or even just a little bit of water on their tortilla like you would just throw with your finger. And you can reheat that. But they are good for a quick snack. You can put cinnamon and sugar across them. You can do them as wraps for meals on the go. They make an easy homeschooling dinner lunch. They make a good packed lunch. You can put chicken in them. You can put beef. They are just numerous ways to use these, and these are the best. So let's get started. The first thing we need for these excellent tortillas is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I have tried to do these with wheat, but it's just not as simple and they like to stick together. So until I get that recipe fine-tuned, I'm going to show you the one that I know that works fine. We're going to need a teaspoon of salt, and to that a teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to mix this up. In the middle of this, we are going to put a well once we get all the dry ingredients mixed up. So you just have your flour around, and in the middle you're going to put a little well. In this well, we are going to put 1 cup of warm water and 1/3 cup of oil. My choice has been butter that I have heated through, so it's dissolved and melted. You can use olive oil, avocado oil. You just want something that's not going to overwhelm the flavor. A more neutral oil is welcome. You don't want to use something like lard or tallow, because you want something with a more neutral flavor. That may overwhelm everything. So now we're going to mix all this together, and it's going to become a shaggy-like dough. You can see how easily this is coming together. It's a very soft dough, and it's kneading very easy. We're picking up all the flour that's left in the bottom of our bowl. You can see the sheen, how it is here, so it's all kneaded together. Now we're going to divide this into 16 pieces. This is simply done by either cutting with a sharp knife, or you can use a dough scraper. We just need 16 of them. That's what's going to make our equal amounts for our size of the tortillas that we want. We're going to take the balls that we made. We have 16 of them, and we're going to roll them into a ball. And then we're going to flatten them with our hand. Then you can coat these on either side with flour, so that makes them where they're not sticky when you get ready to roll them. But we are not going to roll them right now. We are going to allow them to rest for 15 minutes. We need them to do that so the gluten can get dispersed throughout all the flour, and they won't be tough. That's an important thing. So roll into balls, then we're going to smash with our hand, and it just kind of looks like a small bread roll. And here we have our 16 rolls just waiting. Going to cover them with a towel and let them set for 15 minutes. We're only going to cook this for 45 seconds to 1 minute. Then we're going to flip it and cook the other side for just as long, and it will be completed. As you can see, we have a little bit of golden brown there. That's what we want. We want to see bubbles. We want to see that. It is smoky, but I have my fan on. I probably don't need it quite that high of heat. That's how nice it looks. And they just bend. They're so nice. But when you take them off, you need to store it in a container. And when we get it off, we need to put a towel or a lid over this to keep the heat in. That's just going to keep them where they won't stick, and also to keep them where they don't get real stiff, because they're going to constantly steam. Thanks for watching this video. We hope that you learned something. This is exactly how they all turned out. They're very pliable. They can be used as wraps. They can be used for snacks, whatever you want to do with them. We hope that these 5 essentials that you need to have in your kitchen to provide your family with healthy meals and also to save you a ton of money will become beneficial to your family. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.